So jumping right into this, today we're going to review a non-stim pre-workout. And for those of you who don't know what a non-stim pre-workout is, it's a pre-workout without stimulants. The only stimulant some of the effect you're going to get possibly from this pre-workout on its own without caffeine or anything like that is going to be the noradrenaline and the adrenaline kicks and the dopamine raising and the neural firing as the choline sources come in for energy production, or you're going to get some underlying energy from the vasodilation you might get from the product where you're breaking down fat and mobilizing fat to the mitochondria for energy. So jumping right into the product here, Apollon Nutrition's Bare Knuckle. There it is. This is a sour apple flavor, getting that out of the way. Flavor was decent. You're going to be fine with the flavor. Better than average for Apollon Nutrition. Did a really good job. I like this flavor on this thing. I could sip it. I did sip it a few times. So no gagging, no having to take out a piece of gum or just no crazy faces. You're gonna be fine with it. It's really good. So before I jump into the ingredient profile and the effects, if you're new to the channel, my name is David. This is my Mission to Muscle. I go over ingredients on supplements so you guys know what the hell you're putting in your body, and I go over the effects, my personal effects on running the product. So Bare Knuckle, jumping right into the ingredient profile, I'll put it right in front of me. We have half scoop, 1 scoop dose, 24 grams for 1 scoop. That's a lot right there. Just so you know, if you want that 24 grams, you need to break out the scale, because I had to really pack the scoop, just kind of dig in there and pack and pack and pack, and boom, it's 24. So if you just go in there kind of nonchalantly and just kind of pick out a scoop, you're going to be 22, 23 maybe. And I ran it both ways, no difference. So it's up to you if you want to use a scale or not. As far as I'm concerned, just nonchalantly go in there. Don't even stress over it, because there was absolutely no difference in the effects. Couldn't tell any difference between like a 1 gram difference there as far as the dosage. So the ingredients, right on the top here, we have vitamin B3, which is niacin, 25 milligrams. I don't know if you guys know, this helps. RB vitamins. Vitamins are super important. That's why our macros and our micronutrients are super important to be getting in our diet. B vitamins help with a lot of things and are very essential. Now, niacin helps with the balancing of ROS generation, which is reactive oxygen species, which is an antioxidant defense mechanism used to keep the blood vessels, healthy. It also helps with endothelial dysfunction and inflammatory responses as far as within the vascular system. So super important ingredient. Then we have B6, which is 20 milligrams. You see this in sleep aids a lot, and the reason why is it balances out homocysteine levels in the brain, which basically helps with like brain function and the development of the brain. So if you're out of balance as far as your homocysteine is out of balance, you're too high, then it could affect the health of the brain, killing off brain cells and stuff like that. So balances things out. Then we got folate at 1360 micrograms. Folate is a good ingredient because it helps with red blood cell formation, helps with cell growth and cell function. So very important ingredient. A lot of people are deficient in folate, believe it or not. So it is something, if you go get your blood work done, it is kind of one of those ingredients that you want to tell the doctor, can you check my folate levels just to be safe, because you can have some reactions and not feel right if your folate's low. Then we got vitamin B12 at 500 micrograms. We all take B12 for energy, and it helps with carbohydrate and fat metabolism, but it also helps with DNA repair, nerve function, red blood cell formation, quite a bit. So B12 is another essential vitamin you need to get in your body, as far as it has to be in your food or something. Then we have vitamin B5 at 50 milligrams. Now B5 is not something that's talked about a lot, but this does help with fat and carbohydrate breakdown and used for energy purposes. But this also helps with sex and stress hormone production out of the adrenal glands. Also helps with red blood cell formation as well, like these other B vitamins in here too. Then we have sodium at 120 milligrams. It's a low dose. That's the amount of sodium that you're going to find in the pink Himalayan salt, which is at 300 milligrams in this. Talking fast today. And what sodium does is it helps with neural firing, so nerve communication. It helps with developing on a cellular level. Sodium is used by the body on a cellular level through a bunch of different functions to help produce calcium release for contractions in the gym. So it's a super important ingredient there. Of course, you're too high, you can have issues. Too low, you can have issues. So just be conscious of how much sodium you're consuming during the day is all I can say. Then we have the bare knuckle pump and focus matrix. Jumping right into this, right into the good stuff. We've got L-citrulline at 8 grams. This is going to help with that vasodilation and pumps. It's going to help with some ammonia regulation, because this is a ammonia recycling agent, which helps balance out ammonia in the body and in the muscles when you're training. So it balances out ammonia in the body by taking the excess ammonia and getting it out through the urea cycle for health purposes. And then ammonia can be a metabolite that causes contraction and strength issues if it builds up in the muscle too much while you're training and you're going through your reps. So controlling that is going to let you push out more reps and have more strength during your sets. Then we have beta-alanine at 3.2 grams, efficaciously dosed. This is for to get the pins, the needles, the itching and scratching. Let you guys know how this thing hits. This has a 2-step conversion to carnosine, and carnosine in our body helps regulate hydrogen. And hydrogen builds up in the muscles, another metabolite, as we're going through the sets. You're pushing, you get those metabolites building up, and hydrogen is one of them that will actually lessen your contraction and lessen your power output as well. So this is a fantastic ingredient to build up more reps, more sets, and more power and strength in the gym as a whole. But you need to be saturated with this ingredient. So you get some acute effects by taking it every other day or 5 days a week, but there's a saturation point to where you can get the effects of the studies that they did out there with the actually really good studies on endurance and power output in the gym with this ingredient. Then we have arginine nitrate, NO3T, at 3 grams. So nitrates, arginine nitrate, betaine nitrate, all these, they're a combination of the betaine and nitrates, arginine and nitrates. And this is a combination. This is a combo. Every 1 gram of arginine nitrate has about 262 milligrams of nitrates. So when we're dealing with nitrates for vasodilation and pumps, we want to be between 400 and 800 milligrams. 800 being the tops in the studies and the research that they did for some really good vasodilation. And at 3 grams, we're sitting at 2, 4, 6, 7, almost 8. At 3 grams, we're sitting at almost 800 milligrams right there, just shy of 800 milligrams. So did a really good job of dosing there, and you're going to get extra arginine in here as well, because the leftover, which is like a little over 2 grams, is going to add to the vasodilation in the pump, growth hormone effects for the pituitary gland, because that's what arginine does and agmatine does. So hopefully you get some extra effects for muscle building purposes on this pre-workout in the gym. Then we have betaine anhydrous at 2.5 grams. This is for power, strength in the gym, power output and endurance, because this is an osmolalite and a methyl donor. So it helps with cell hydration. So it's going to keep your cells hydrated. And then being an osmolalite and a methyl donor, it's going to help your body produce its own natural creatine in the body. So if you're taking creatine right now, if you're taking betaine anhydrous, that absorption, the utilization of it is going to be enhanced taking betaine anhydrous. It also helps with DNA repair on a cellular level. It helps with liver enzymes, and there's actually other health with betaine anhydrous. So it is a fantastic, for beginners out there, that's just one ingredient. This is one ingredient you want to look for in your beginner pre-workouts because of the health benefits of it. Then we have L-tyrosine at 2 grams. This is for cognitive function and focus, especially under stressful conditions. L-tyrosine is a 2-step precursor to dopamine in the brain. It elevates dopamine, and then any unused dopamine is then converted by the brain into noradrenaline and adrenaline. So norepinephrine and epinephrine for more firing brain function and cognitive function during stressful conditions. This also has a benefit for your thyroid. So only if you have thyroid issues already, like if your thyroid is low and it's not functioning properly, L-tyrosine has been shown to actually bring that up to a balanced level, but it doesn't do any kind of increases to the thyroid, the T3 levels or anything like that. Just take it in if you already have a healthy thyroid. So just a little extra there. Then we have agmatine sulfate at 1.5 grams. This has multiple functions. For one, it helps with vasodilation, vasorelaxation, helps with glucose control, and it helps with gonadotropin release from the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland to release LH and FSH. so luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone for testosterone production. And this is all done by it antagonizing imidazoline receptors. So they're found on the cell surface of a lot of our tissues. And this goes in and it agonizes it, creating these effects in the blood vessels to actually dilate those. It helps release cytosolic calcium, which then creates the release of no and endothelial tissues. And then also it helps signal to the pancreas to produce more insulin if insulin is needed. So it handles glucose control as far as your carbohydrates really well that way. It also has brain health functions to it by controlling noradrenaline if it gets too high. And it does this because it blocks, or it's an agonist to a receptor, which is the N-methyl aspartate receptor in the brain. And when it agonizes that, it creates more blood flow in the brain for more cognitive function and health. In turn, it also activates an ionic glutamate receptor in the brain that helps with memory and function. So all in all, this is like a fantastic ingredient. So sorry, I got stuck on that too long there. So we have lion's mane extract next at 1 gram. So this is a great ingredient. This is probably one of the healthiest nootropics out there. This helps increase nerve growth factor in the brain. And what this does, this stimulates the repair of neurons in the brain and the function and the firing for learning and cognitive function. 1 gram that's a high dose. I'll let you guys know how this thing hits nootropically. We have alpha GPC next at the good 600 milligrams. So we got the agmatine and we have the arginine in here, and we have the 600 milligrams of alpha GPC. All have been shown in those dosages to increase GH levels, growth hormone levels. So at this dose, under that dose, no studies, but at 600 and above, it has been shown to increase growth hormone. So this right now is turning into just reading the label. Even myself, I don't read these labels until I get behind the camera here, but this has got some benefits to it for those that are trying to build muscle in the gym. This helps with cognitive function and focus, memory, and also it helps with controlling personality, motor functions, touch in the body, a form of planning. So putting together, because what this does is it transfers over to acetylcholine. It's a very absorbable form of acetylcholine, elevates those, and it just really attacks the cortex, the cerebral cortex, by doing some actions in there and creates some rapid neuro firing and communication in the brain. So it's really kind of quick. I like alpha GPC. It's a really good ingredient. I'm finding a lot of pre-workouts, but I do like the 600 milligram dose. That usually hits really good for me. Then we have Himalayan pink salt at 300 milligrams. This is a hydration ingredient. So this has some minerals in it. It has some help for nerve function. It reduces muscle fatigue, regulates muscle contractions. That's like sodium pretty much. So it's an all-around nice, healthy hitter that you can just buy on the shelf at the store if you wanted to add that to your pre-workout. But I like that they use Himalayan pink salt in here. At 300 milligrams, it's not too high, which keeps the sodium content within a decent range at 120 milligrams. Then we got estrogen at 50 milligrams. This is the bring it all together digestive ingredient. We'll jump right into this. So Bare Knuckle by Apollon Nutrition. How did it do? So you first take the scoop, and the beta-alanine comes in about 10-15 minutes, and it's kind of like a medium, little above a medium level hit. You're not going to get a lot of itching, scratching, but you feel the pins and needles a little bit. And it lasts for a good 30-40 minutes, so it kind of gets brushed under the rug a little bit because of the label being so damn stacked here. And about 30 minutes in is when the cognitive function and focus come in. And what happens is it starts to drop in with a very kind of like a focused, dialed in type cognitive hit. And then slowly but shortly after, as it builds from 30 minutes to about 50 minutes, you start to bring into the, in your head concentration, task driven. So by the time it hits 50 minutes and you hit the gym, it turns into this cognitive, very dialed down, not anxious type thing, but very open head. So your mind is open. Like you're taking things in, you're analyzing stuff, you're thinking, you're processing, and you're task driven on whatever you're attempting at the time. And this is so task driven that I did back one day on this, and the next day I was like, why is my back so tight? Why does it hurt? Like, why does it hurt when I bring my elbows back like this? And I remembered that when I did back the day before, I was so dialed in and task driven on pulling my elbows, because I wanted to target the lower lats, pulling my elbows down, twisting my hands like this, and digging on a lat movement, and bringing my elbows as far back as I can and squeezing my lats and contracting it, and then kind of coming out slowly. And I remember being so dialed in and task driven to get that task done. So as far as cognitive function and focus, it's medium high. So that all comes together, and it will last for about 4 hours. So it's a very good hit, and you will be able to, so if you, like me, and you work right after you train, like you have to go to work, you have to deal with people, the cognitive hit is not so hard that you're like wonky. Like, you could go and you can dial back, and you can actually be talking to people, not thinking to yourself, am I smiling? Am I staring too much? Am I blinking too fast? Am I pausing too long while I'm thinking about it because I'm in my head? No, this is super smooth. So this is a great pre-workout to actually, you could actually go function and into society right afterwards. So I really like that aspect that they put that in there. Now, the next thing we got to talk about is the pumps. The pumps here are tight, insanely tight. What I liked about this is it was a combination. I was thinking about this because some pre-workouts we do that's so tight that you get to a point like you lose the rep because they can't even go anymore because you got so much blood going in there. This one was a combination of a high-end pump formula that had a balance of all of it. So the cell swelling is what I like to call it, as far as the engorgement of the muscle and the tightness and the rapid removal of the metabolites allowed you to train through your sets for a longer period of time and utilize the power output and the endurance you get from some of these ingredients. So very, very good product, and I like the way they designed this. No stim, so you're able to take advantage of that aspect that I just talked about, because you're not kind of like running around like a chicken with your head cut off in the gym, going from set to set to rep to rep to rep. You dialing in, you're task driven, you got this steady rhythm going, and you can utilize how this thing's put together as far as ingredient wise. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I could tell you guys. I talked about the flavor, the scoop, I talked about the pump and the nootropics and the mood. So I think we're done. So this is Dave. I'm signing off. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Before you go, don't forget to hit the like button for me. It does help the channel. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you like this type of content, hit the subscribe button, because I'll be coming back for more. Once again, Bare Knuckle by Apollon Nutrition. This is Dave. I'll see you guys next time on the channel.